Hello everyone, this is Archana here. Welcome to another podcast with me. Work from home is the need of the hour and our way of embracing the will of the Mother Earth. With medical and the research fraternity working round the clock, this has indeed sown a seed of instability, doubt, and insecurity among people across the globe. What are these algorithms changing overnight? What's happening? The organizations have revamped themselves as much as we have reworked on our lives. I have with me my guest Surya Prakash Mohapatra. Surya is a part of my professional network based in Bengaluru, India. Surya Prakash Mohapatra is the global head learning and development, talent transformation at Wipro. 20 years of splendid, rewarding career at various leadership roles in the best of IT corporates across the globe, be it Hewlett Packard, Microland, First Ring, to name a few. Talent management, knowledge management, career development, leadership management, he has many feathers in the cap. Surya is also on the editorial board of the e magazine Ek Akshara. Welcome on board, Surya. Hello, Surya. How are you doing?
Thank you, Archana. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks a lot for agreeing to speak to us and coming on board.
My pleasure, Archana. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Great. Looking forward to this wonderful conversation. So, Surya, we see a lot has happened in past few months. The organizations have, revamped themselves. People have been laid off, and there are many who are anticipating this coming their way. So, what do you think is exactly happening? What are the corporates thinking? What is this algorithm that people are working and trying to decode? What is exactly happening now?
This is an interesting question. So, COVID-19 has really disrupted our lives, our economy, business, politics, everything. This is called a black swan event, and this doesn't happen every day. And an event like this cannot be predicted. Nobody knows when it will come. And this could have far reaching implications. That's exactly what's happening today. So it is impacting organizations, businesses, societies, countries, families, and so on. If you ask me what organizations are thinking today, it depends on which organization, which industry that we're talking about. Because COVID-19 has really positively impacted a few organizations and it has really badly impacted some others. Some industries have actually emerged stronger and some industries are struggling. So it depends on which industry we're talking about, which organization we're talking about, which situation they're in, what circumstances they're in, and what they're thinking. Now, today, most of the organizations are thinking at the beginning, how do they survive this crisis? How do they come out of it? How do they support their workforce, their people, to deal with this crisis better? Because these are difficult times. While organizations are in deep trouble, the people are also, they are struggling, they're experiencing difficult times. So organizations are now thinking about how to take care of their people, how to take care of their customers, partners, stakeholders. At the same time, how do they survive and come out of this crisis? I think that's probably the top of the mind today when we talk about organizations, leaders, and so on. So now, most organizations are also thinking ahead of COVID-19. They're thinking beyond COVID-19. What are the options available for them? What they can do? What should be their strategy going forward, and so on. So as we look at it, I wrote about it in one of my recent articles. I mentioned that beyond COVID-19, there are three paths, there are three ways, three roads leading us to the future. One is the road to perish, the other one is the road to survive, the third one is the road to thrive. And organizations, leaders, and people who are in a state of denial, who believe that we will go back to the old world in the next few days or weeks, they're probably likely to perish. It's the hard truth. Organizations who are willing to change, who are prepared to adapt to the new world, will survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But organizations who can reimagine themselves, who can reinvent themselves, are the ones who will not only survive, they would also thrive. They would
Yeah.
actually excel. They would rewrite the rules of the new world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it depends on what mindset the leadership in organizations have, the entrepreneurs
Yeah.
have, and what they're thinking, what choices they're making, what decisions they're taking, what actions they're taking, and that would define and decide their future, their destiny.
Absolutely. I think you're very well said this, very well put across. In fact, this reminds me of the number of videos I see on your LinkedIn page that talks about different things people can resort to in these difficult times. Viewers, you can definitely catch hold of those videos since he is on the editorial board of the LND community. Is a e-magazine. There are many videos that can help us, understand and bring more focus into our lives. You're quite right, Surya, in saying that, but since everybody today we see they are working on upgrading themselves, they're busy upskilling themselves, there's so many online courses available, and online is the way going forward today. I mean, what do you think should be the role of leadership? Because of all said and done with, employees today only look up to their leaders to help them get out of this mess. So what do you think would be the ideal role of a leader today to make this a better transition, a more smoother transition for the employees?
The leader's role is the most important role at this point in time. They have to play the most important role. And as the navigator of the ship, they will have to navigate the ship, through the turbulence, and then make sure that the ship reaches its destination. So this is leadership in crisis.
Yeah.
And the true character of a leader is understood depending on how he or she behaves in a crisis. When things are hunky-dory, and if a leader is nice, you can't give a lot of credit to the leader. The true test, the litmus test, or the acid test is how the leader is behaving in the midst of a crisis.
Absolutely.
So, if I have to respond to your question as to what should be the role of the leader, I would say to begin with, the leader must try and look inside and find out what he or she thinking, what are his or her emotions, what is his or her mental state at this point in time. When we are flying, the in-flight announcement says, put on the oxygen mask yourself first before helping others. So the leader has to help himself or herself first before he or she is ready and prepared to help others. Of course, his or her role is to help others. But if he or she is struggling, if there is a mental trauma, there is emotional imbalance, then the leader will not be in a position to help others. I think self-awareness, understanding the leader's own state of mind, vulnerabilities, the strengths and weaknesses, is the first step. That's where the leader has to begin.
Right.
Thereafter, I think once you understand what is your mental state, what is your frame of mind, how ready you are to deal with this crisis, then it's time to take stock of what's happening, and then how can you, help your people and your organization. How can you steer your organization through this crisis and get them out of trouble? So I think the most important thing the leader has to demonstrate at this point in time is empathy. Very high degree of empathy. And when I say empathy, it's not lip service. It's the desire to invest time in people. It's the commitment of time to understand and listen to people, because this is the time when people are in trouble. They're also going through mental trauma. They're going through challenging times. They are going through a great deal of stress and anxiety. They need help. And this is the time when the leader cannot afford to be judgmental. The leader has to demonstrate empathy. The leader has to listen, pay attention. The leader has to try and understand the person, the other person that he or she is talking to. That's very, very important. That's what your people need at this point in time. A few days ago, one of my team members called me and then said, "Sorry, I'm not able to manage. It's difficult. My husband is in a different city. He is stuck. He can't come to us. He can't, travel to the city where I'm living in. I have two children at home. I have to take care of them alone. I have to take care of my job. Um, you know, I have to be in virtual meetings. My child is crying. It's just too much. There's no support at home. The maid is not coming. I can't manage this. I would like to put in my papers. I would like to resign." But as a leader, you understand, or you ask the question, is this the right decision? These are difficult times. It'll be difficult to get another job when you want to find one. Can you help your team member deal with this crisis? Can we offer that flexibility to that colleague of yours? Can you work with that person to find solutions? Can you take help from other colleagues who can actually step in and then help? Because these are difficult times, but we will get over these times, and then we will, we'll definitely be in a better situation after a few weeks or months or whatever. So I think what leaders really need to demonstrate at this point in time is a great deal of empathy. The last thing they should do is be judgmental. They should pay attention. They should become very good listeners. They should become coaches, counselors at this point in time. I think that's the most important thing. The second thing the leaders should do is create a network. While there are people who are struggling, but there are also people within the organization who have a great sense of purpose, sense of value and utility. They would like to come forward and help. So create a network of people who can bring in a lot of energy and strength to the teams, to the function, to the organization. That network is very important because you can't drive this all by yourself. You can't be alone and do this yourself. So building that network of people who are willing to chip in and support is extremely important. The third thing I believe is communication. Communicate, and communicate. The more you communicate, the better. There is nothing called over communication overload at these times. It's important that you talk, you engage, you talk about the challenges, difficulties, talk about the way forward, and so on. So I think these are the top three things that come to my mind that leaders should do at these times.
Great. I think these are very, very valid and valuable inputs from your side, Surya. It's important for all of us to ground ourselves first. The leader needs to ground himself first and make sure that, he can take the load of his team, the crisis the team is going through. So it's very important, like Surya very rightly said, to make sure that you find a place for yourself and you're standing upright there. Great. And of course, it's important to make sure, from our side as a leader, if, anyone has been laid off in the team or is anticipating a pink slip, I think it's going to be quite a contribution, if you could maybe give a strong recommendation to your, team member, so that you further strengthens the resume, the profile of the person. Of course, give up, make sure that you communicate, you create that network, give them that support, let them, empathy comes into being. Of course, I think these are very important ingredients that actually make you the leader you are. These are very important testing times for all of us, and I think communication is the best way going forward. Make others comfortable, and in the entire scenario, I think this is really wonderful, Surya. What else would you like to share with us on this?
I think we talked about the role of the leader, but we can talk about the role of professionals, employees. And I think it's important for them to understand that these are difficult times and uncertainty has become a way of life. So the important thing is for all of us is to get used to this. But that's going to be the reality of our life. And we need to understand that the world is going to change, and the way we used to work, we used to deal with our customers, with our stakeholders and partners, the way we used to do business, all that probably is going to change. So we need to prepare ourselves for the future. I think that's important. And how do we do that? Uh, we can do that by trying to find out more about the new world. The new world, gig economy is going to become probably more prominent. While people used to work full time for many, many years in the same organization, that's going to change. So in future, we will find more contract employees, more part-time employees. We'll find people working for multiple employers. We will find freelancers. We'll find more startup entrepreneurs, and so on. So I think most important thing for all of us is to decide uh, or answer this question: can I become more flexible? Should I hold on to my company, my industry, my job, my organization, my city, my country? Or am I open to working in any city, for any organization, in any industry? Do I have that flexibility and adaptability? If I become rigid, I would struggle. But if I'm flexible, I will be able to navigate through the crisis, through the situation, through times in future. I think flexibility is important. So is it okay if I lose my job and I'm not going to get a job for another 3 months or 6 months? How do I still manage myself? Can I become a freelancer? Can I take up some part-time assignment? And so on. I think flexibility and adaptability is an important thing that we should look at. The second thing is strengthening our own network. These are the times where networks come to help. Having a strong network, having connect with people in the industry from different walks of life, from various parts of the industry, is going to be very, very helpful. Having a good mentor that you can fall back on, bounce of ideas, is a good idea. And I would also say using this opportunity to upskill yourself, upgrading your skills is absolutely important. I read about this couple in Maharashtra when the first time the lockdown phase 1 got announced, and the lockdown was for 21 days. This couple decided to dig a well in their courtyard. They were planning to have a well in their house for many, many years, but they did not have the time to do that. But when they got this 21 days, they said, let's make use of this time. Actually, they dug up a well in their courtyard. And within 21 days, they had a well. And this is a fantastic use of time. While that's one example, I think professionals like us, we can use this time to upskill ourselves. This is a good amount of time when we're not going out, there's not much of entertainment, we're not going to malls and theaters. There is a good amount of time. If you have time, I would say make use of this time wisely, upskill yourself for the future, because you don't know what's going to happen in future, what skills will be required in future to survive. So that would be my recommendation.
Lovely. I think, flexibility is the key word here. I think that's a wonderful takeaway for all the viewers. Because what Surya is trying to make a point here is flexibility is one thing we need to, bring into our lives now. Even if we have been laid off, you can actually consider various options, consider being a freelancer, maybe consider various options where you can absorb yourself in different organizations. You could be working part-time in not one, but many organizations now. And we also have the options, for serving companies abroad now, because everything is happening online, which also means, different sources of income flowing into the family, which I think is not a bad news. I think this is a very good news. Working on this, letting yourself adopt to this new system is the way forward, and the only way forward is the way forward. I think this is wonderful. Also work on your network, also work on your upgrading yourself, keep yourself busy, other than thinking what next. If we keep thinking positive and working on what we can do to resolve this issue, of course mentoring is very important. Make sure you have somebody who you can simply discuss what's going on in your mind, come up with ideas, come up with newer ways of networking people, and from different walks of life. You might be serving the IT sector, you might be serving the hospitality sector, but this is the time to go broaden your vision, go in different ways, reaching out different communities, different organizations, different sectors, because we need to network today to get in more opportunities our way. I think this is really wonderful, Surya. What else? I think you have spoken about leaders, their changing roles. You've spoken about how professionals should welcome this change. What next? I mean, of course, the organizations, they have revamped themselves a great deal. What next? What is the one positive thought you would like to, give in
Yeah.
here so that we can, yeah.
Another thing I would like to talk about is in future, professionals need to keep in mind is organizations would value, they would look at the value that we bring. So, and they would look at fitment over qualification or experience.
Yes.
They would look at value over designations and titles. They would look for a lot of flexibility. They would look at flexible ways of recruiting people, providing compensation for the work that people do, and so on. We could see a lot of changes in the salary structure, compensation structure. There could be more flexible pay structure, and so on. Because at difficult times, companies would struggle to pay salaries. So they would prefer a structure which is more flexible.
Yeah.
So I think as professionals, we need to keep in mind in future, our past experience may not count as much as it did in the past. It would matter. What would matter is the value that we bring in. Do I fit into that role? Do I fit into that organization? Am I going to solve problems for this organization, and so on? What organizations would need in future? They would want to bounce back after this crisis is over. They would want to become more resilient. They would like to transform the way they have been running business, and we have been already seeing organizations thinking about transformation. Now the question is, can I be somebody who can help my organization or team bounce back? Can I be somebody who can help the organization become more resilient? Can I help my organization transform? If I can do all of this, then I think I would be valued. So I need to really figure out, as the organization, as we move through this crisis, things slowly become normal, and companies, businesses, organizations try to bounce back. Can I be the one who play a lead role there? Do I have the skills, competencies to do that? If I don't have, is there any other industry or company, a job where I can bring in my skills and competencies? Or do I need to upgrade my skills? But for me to stay relevant, I need to be able to help my teams, my organizations bounce back. I think that's important. I need to help them become more resilient.
Absolutely, Surya. I think it's all about making sure what your core competencies are. This is not the time you can bank on your past laurels. This is about adaptability. This is about flexibility. This is all about making sure you can fit in yourself in what space in that company, add value to what they're asking for, because everything has changed. The patterns of recruitment has changed. The titles don't matter today. It's all about what you can bring into the table. And as Surya rightly said, bounce back, make your team come back and work with that same passion and bring value to what you have been doing. I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Surya, for coming on board. I think you've touched upon every little point that people need to work on, be it organizations, be it leaders, be it professionals. I think this has been a very impactful and a very, very wonderful conversation we've had with you. Thank you so much, Surya, for coming on board. It was a pleasure having you on board. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Archana. Thank you once again for this opportunity. I enjoyed having this conversation, and I hope whatever we discussed would be helpful to professionals. And I would like to kind of share at the end that the knowledge that we had in the past, the knowledge that we acquired in our universities or colleges or educational institutions probably is not relevant today. The knowledge that is required tomorrow may not exist today, which will probably evolve in the next few years. So I think the most important thing for all of us to become lifelong learners adaptable and flexible. At the same time, be willing to experiment and try new things and be fearless. And I'm
Absolutely.
sure we
Great.
don't have to worry about anything. Thank you
Great.
so much
Thanks a
once again,
lot.
Arjuna, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for showing that drive and hope to all of us. Thank you, Surya. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful life ahead and a great future.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a wonderful conversation with Surya Prakash Mohapatra. He has touched upon all the relevant topics today. He's spoken about the changing roles of organizations. What are the corporates thinking today? What is the role of the leader in today's scenario? What should an employee be doing at this point in time to ensure cash flow in his accounts? Lovely. It's very important. We need to understand that today everything is changing. The way recruitment is happening is changing. It's not about your core competencies today. It's not about the titles you have been holding. It's about what value you can bring to the table, because everything is going to be changing. You can consider being a freelancer, being a consultant in not one but more than one companies, not in India but maybe across the globe, and have more and more income flowing into your accounts from different sources. I think that should be the idea. That should be the way going forward. You should be more flexible, more adaptable to maybe work on the passions you have. You could be a good writer, you could be a good public speaker, you could be a good in accounts, you could be a good IT person, you could be good in multiple things, but maybe you have been just doing one thing all your life. This is the time to explore and introspect what are the areas that you can upgrade yourself in, what are the areas you're really, really good at, and work on it and rework on it to achieve mastery over those traits and offer yourself to the current scenario so that you have lots of cash flowing into your account.
It's important for all of us to keep our doors open, grasp the opportunity that comes our way, make ourselves available for whatever is available to us, and contribute to our family income. I wish you all the very best. Design your second innings with lots of color and stay tuned for more.